We are on the road today for the M2M podcast at the Iowa FFA Enrichment Center, which is on the campus of DMAC, that's the Des Moines Area Community College in Ankeny, Iowa. This roadshow is where we bring together a couple of people, all in the name of being master farmers. It's the 100th year of the Master Farmer Program in the state of Iowa. It was started by some guy named Wallace, who you recognize the magazine, or maybe the Secretary of Agriculture, or that tiny little company that ended up being Pioneer Hybrids. We are going to talk to those who have connection to everything there, both as master farmers before, current, and now new master farmers. So we are going to have a conversation with the president of the organization. That's Jeff Jorgensson. He himself, a farmer from Southwest Iowa. His grandfather won the award, and he has won the award, and now he serves as president. We'll find out a little bit more about the organization. Then we're going to talk with Rob Fleming, who is a relation to the Wallaces. He's the great-grand-nephew of Henry Wallace. And we'll find out his connection to the state of Iowa and agriculture, both professionally and personally, in what he's been involved with. And then we'll talk to one of this year's winners, Steve and Jane Johanningmeier Farm in extreme northeast Iowa. We'll hear about their operation with Steve. And Jane also had a nice conversation with us as well. So that is what we're up to. I'm Paul Yeager. This is the M2M podcast. New episodes come out each and every Tuesday. We're going to do a little bit more on the Master Farmer Program later down the road for Market to Market, which this podcast is a production of that TV show. But first, I want to tell you about something and how you can be connected to the show. Jeff Jorgensson is the president this year of the Iowa Master Farmers, and you're a farmer yourself from Sidney, Iowa. Yeah. Tell me about your operation.
Our operation down in Fremont County, southwest corner, far northwest corner of county. We have corn and soybean row crop, and we have a cow herd as well.
And you've been involved with leadership in Iowa soybeans before.
Yeah, we did. I did 9 years on that, so it was a full term on that. I was president. I did all the way through, did treasurer, and then I was president as well.
Something going on with soybeans when you were in leadership?
We got a lot of things go on in leadership. You do over a 9-year span. We saw a lot of things, a lot of state legislation. We did, national. We saw a lot of things going on globally. You're on for that long a time frame, you see a lot of different things.
What would be the relationship? Was the relationship with other farmers one of the biggest surprises that you had when you joined that organization and started meeting with people and getting to understand what their operation is like and where they're from?
Sure, by far. You cover the state of Iowa, and then we go and see a lot of national stuff when you're in the Iowa Soybean Association. So interacting with those farmers from across the country, and essentially we're all after the same goal. We're trying to move a pile of beans, and it was really fun, interactive, good folks, great relationships. It was really rewarding.
Are you first generation farmer?
No, I'm third generation.
Same spot?
Same spot. Yeah.
All right. So why did you decide to be number 3?
It started from the beginning. I never was off the farm. It's one of those things when people talk about farming's in your blood. I started out that way. I think early on it was pretty much known.
Who taught you the most about farming?
Well, my grandpa did, by far. I lost my dad in a farm accident, when I was really young. But it was my grandpa, and those guys. He's been gone a couple of years now, but that generation of farmers that made it through the 30s, 40s, the 50s, how tough some of those years were, really gave you an urgency to how to get things done, how to get by, and how to make things work.
What was your grandfather's and your father? I know you said he died young, but what was their involvement with Master Farmer?
My grandpa was a master farmer in 1973. And this was probably the most proud moment of his career, really. Did a lot of, work, he worked in the church, helped in the church, did a lot of those things. But this was one of his proudest moments, and it is for me as well. I knew how important it was to him, and to be surrounded with folks that have, like-minded, are working for stewardship of the land. Mm-hmm. We take care of Iowa, we take care of our community. That's really important, and these folks, that's what they believe in as well.
And what year did they put you in this thing then?
22. I was in 2022.
Why do you think you were nominated or at least chosen?
Well, I think it was, I spent a lot of time doing, volunteer work in the community, then got on soybean board and we did a full run of that. It's funny how some people just find you and say, you're going to be here and you don't know. I mean, I remember going down the highway, going to a meeting very early on and he said, you're going to be president of Iowa Soybean Association. I'll tell you that right now. And, you're kind of set aback and well, all of a sudden he was right. And you look for those, they're looking for leaders. They're always looking for leaders. There's people that want to go into leadership and there's people that, kind of do the legwork, right? And I was one of those that, I was okay with it. I had young kids. It was a tough thing for the family, but I knew it was good for Iowa agriculture. I knew it was good for Iowa farmers and it was the right thing to do.
So with your grandfather in the 70s, that means your whole life you knew what this master farmer thing was about.
Oh, I knew it was on the wall.
It was on the wall, you see it. So when you were in that position to move into leadership of this organization, what guided you the most? That plaque on the wall, or did you evolve a little bit of the way agriculture is now?
When my grandpa was alive when I got the award, and he came up and before it, he said, you've done some soybean work, but they have to have leadership spots on this too. And that for him, that was saying you need to do that as well. So it was pretty implied that I was going to be part of it, and I enjoy being part of it, very much so. This organization, there's other states that have master farmers, but Iowa does more. And maybe it's with Henry Wallace being from Iowa and how he started it. But we do a lot more in Iowa than other states do for the master farmer. And I'm proud of it. And all of us are proud of it. And we really make sure that we keep this thing going. It's 100 years. This is our 100-year anniversary. And I was told when I got on, I said, well, you're going to be president during the 100 year. And I first said, well, what is it? And I'm like, oh man, this is a little bit more. There was a lot of planning that went on in this thing.
Wait a minute, what did I sign up for? Holy cow.
Exactly.
But let's define it for those outside of Fremont County, because everybody in Fremont County knows your family and knows what this is about. But I'm sure there's people who are like, Jeff Jorgensson, master farmer, what does that mean?
Yeah. Master farmer, it's until you read into it, you think, you got to get a little deeper. It's a little bit, 10,000 foot view. But what it is it's an organization. It's a group that, you get nominated by someone. Can be family, can be anything. But the nomination and going through the process, I mean, it's fairly strict. I mean, we look for people that are very philanthropic with their time. It's not about money. This is about philanthropic with your time. You take care of your community. You're a good farmer. Those pillars of good farming, right thinking, good living. That's what we live by. I mean, and those things. I think I said it right, but that's what we. All those three pillars are what we look at when we're looking for master farmers. There's a lot of folks that get nominated. Not everybody gets in to be a master farmer. It's kind of a high bar, but we feel that, for this being 100 years and Henry A. Wallace putting it together, we feel that holding that to a high standard is what it was meant to be. It's kind of living the legacy for him, that we do it and hold those standards to a different level. Good farming is a big part of it, but also, community service is really, really big for it. And you can go through anybody that's been, nominated as a master farmer, and any of them that I know, they're here with us, or I get to see them at different things. We all show up. We have 2 meetings here, this one, and we have one in the fall, and, people show up. We all show up as master farmers, and we're looking for the best thing for the organization.
Well, clearly the organization has had to survive all these times, the ups and downs of farming. You mentioned the 70s when your grandfather, we know what happened late 70s, early 80s, and we had the 80s. Then we've had droughts, we've had high markets. That's not what it's all about. But the key, the way I'm hearing you speak, Jeff, is it's still about those farmers who show up every day and grind and lead and try to get to the next day.
Yeah.
Is that pretty accurate?
Absolutely. And to get it to the next generation. The reality is, this is what we do is generational. It's not what happens this year or next year. We look further down the road. I mean, even for me, I know I got to plant in a couple weeks. I got to plant a crop for 26, but I'm already looking at what's going to happen in 27 and beyond. And I have kids that are going to come back to the farm, and it's the greatest thing I could have. But, farming is a generational thing. And you can tell with most of these folks that are master farmers, we want this to be a generational thing. And if they don't have that next generation, it's looking for the right piece that fits that puzzle to move us forward and to carry this on. I mean, this is 100 years. Think how agriculture has changed in the last 10 years. To think about it back from the early 1930s when we really started going. We have change, and we're going to have more change. But stabilization of the family farm, that's a key for all of us.
As Iowa being a leader in agriculture, do you feel that the Master Farmer is the top award in all of production agriculture in the United States?
It is for me. I really believe so. You put farming, you are a good farmer, you do good farming, but you put that aside and you take care of your community, you're also taking care of your country. And that's very important for me, and I think for most of us. We talk about this, right? I mean, this is very common for all of us to think this way, and it is taking care of your community and taking care of your country.
Do you get the sense that your job, I guess you as a collective of this organization, is tougher because of outside things, not inside farm things right now, than maybe it's been?
I think we're, to a degree, we get kind of sheltered from it. It's mostly, that gets a little further out than I think you stay within what you can do. It's kind of stay in your lane, do what you can, and do it the best you can. And I think there's some things that you can do on your own, you can do in your state, you can do in your community, and keeping those things moving forward is the important.
You don't set out to do really anything, not a collective view, to win awards. So if I'm a young farmer, maybe I'm 25 watching this, could be your kids that you're referencing or coming back. Is there a typical path to make it? Because I mean, a good farmer is a little bit subjective because is it profitable? Is it yield? Is it, is it sustainability? Is it whatever? There's those factors, but there's so many other parts to it. If I'm somebody who's 24 or 25, how do I aspire and work my way up to that level?
I think it's community involvement is a big part of it. Good farming is part of it for sure. You also have to have a lot of community involvement, volunteer work, being part of organizations. There's plenty of those in the ag side, in corn, soy, pork, beef. There's a lot of ways to get involved, and they're always looking for more people to be involved all the time. And that community service part, philanthropy, it's real, and be part of it. I mean, grab it, take a hold of it, and it will be very beneficial to you as it growing in your years. You'll understand how important it is.
For decades, 100 years, so 10 decades, and you say things have changed a little bit. What stayed the same?
What stayed the same? Good farming, right thinking, good living. I mean, those things are the standards for me. Things change. We always have had change, and it's going to keep getting faster. As you age, as I understand and most understand, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Staying on the path and keep taking a step forward.
You're going to be on stage in just a few minutes welcoming people. I want you to look into that camera and tell someone, what should I be doing as a young farmer, regardless if I want to end up in this program someday? What's a good thing that a young farmer should be doing right now?
Young farmers, you got a challenge. I mean, you have a challenge on your hand to stay in this and stay in agriculture, because it's not easy. It takes a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of time that you didn't know you had this much time. You didn't think you have enough time to get everything done that you're going to have to. But stay involved, and look, there's people that'll help you. There's people beyond my age, all the way to people that retire. We want agriculture to continue in the fashion that it has in the last 100 years, and we're going to go to the next 100. So seek those people out. They're there to help you find the right path in agriculture, and it's there, and it's ready.
This year's class, 6 farmers, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Four farmers.
4 farmers.
Yep.
Give me a little highlight of some of them.
It's not about being a massive farmer or anything like that. We have some smaller farmers, not a lot of acres, but their community involvement has been incredible. Just good people, great families, go to work every day. They benefit their community, and those are the things that matter.
Lastly, make a pitch to someone to maybe, whether they're going to be quote unquote master farmer, but be involved with this organization. Give me a last pitch for membership, I guess.
For membership, it's, we all know as in the agriculture community, we know those folks that are really doing things in the community. They have a great situation in the farm, but you can nominate those people for Master Farmer. We're always looking for nominations. We know there's more Master Farmers in the state of Iowa than the 500 that have been for the last 100 years, but they need nomination, and they need to be recognized, and they should be recognized for their work, and we appreciate that. There's good farmers clear across our state. I get to be one of them. I'm proud of it, and there's a lot out there that are as well.
Couple weeks from planting, you say?
Yeah.
Have you everything decided on acreage, or are you making any switches here last minute?
We did a little last minute, not too much, but there was a little last minute within the last few weeks. Some costs made a difference, how things kind of lined up, but yeah, we're getting ready to rock.
Got any old crops still sitting around?
There's a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still got anything new crop already?
Yeah, we've
positioned?
had obviously the situation we have going on right now gave some opportunity for us to really kind of be profitable. So we took advantage of that. I think a lot of people did. You got the profitability in agriculture. It's a challenge. There's no doubt about it right now. But keep putting one foot in front of the other. I mean, that's what we got to do.
I think if we've had this conversation over the last 10 years, it would something those things don't change.
That's right, and it's not going to going forward. Agriculture's had a couple tough years. There's no doubt about that. But we're optimistic. If you're in agriculture, you're always optimistic, right? Doesn't change.
That doesn't change. It hasn't. So
yeah, otherwise you wouldn't be in it.
That's right. Jeff Jorgensson's president this year of the Iowa Master Farmers. Thank you, Jeff.
You bet.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Rob Fleming joins us now. Rob, why are you here?
Well, I'm here to attend this year's Iowa Master Farmers annual meeting.
And you have a family connection to this organization.
I do. Master Farmers was founded by Henry Wallace in 1926, 100 years ago, exactly. And I'm his grandnephew, or great-nephew, I guess would be the correct term.
And you live in Pennsylvania now?
In Pennsylvania, Philadelphia.
Still have connections to Iowa?
Deep connections. My brother is here, and my nieces and grandnieces and nephews. And we have a farm just south of town where I grew up.
What does agriculture mean to you today?
Well, it's fascinating. I'm a landscape architect, and within that profession, my specialty was historic landscape preservation and ecological restoration. So I'm very interested in the natural landscape. And unfortunately, agriculture to me today means a system of practices that are not favorable to the natural environment.
That's what you're doing now, you're saying?
Well,
or that's what...
At my farm, I'm deeply engaged in restoring the farm to its original native condition of prairie and oak savanna.
How hard is that to do?
It takes more than a lifetime to take what was a farm and restore it to something like the original condition. And even then, you never quite get there. But so much has been lost. The original prairie in Iowa, there's less than 1/10% of actual remnant prairie that was there before settlement. So I'm deeply interested in what was here before settlement and how to go about putting something like it back again. So that's the answer to the question. I look at production agriculture and I'm distressed.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask, is how receptive are people to trying to return us back?
Well, of course, there is a movement of which I'm a part that's accelerating to try to bring something of the natural native environment back to the farm. You may be familiar with the STRIPS program out of Iowa State, which involves looking at, and thanks to precision agricultural technology, you can do this. You can look and find the least productive patches, even small patches on a field, any given field, and ask yourself the question, am I putting more into this than I'm getting out of this particular parcel? And if you can determine that it's really not worth it, plant it to prairie. And prairie has this sort of almost mystical ability to absorb nitrogen, for example, as it translocates in the soil, heading towards the tile system, and from there to the Gulf of Mexico, not the Gulf of America, if you don't mind me saying so. That represents a very interesting and promising technology that can be compatible with production agriculture and actually increase overall return, I think, because you're not farming unproductive land. Beyond that, when you think about the role of grasslands in the overall ecology of the world, everybody's talking about forests sequestering carbon, injecting carbon back into the ground. The single most effective environment for sequestering carbon are grasslands because of the deep-rooted nature, perennial nature of that original ecosystem. So I think there's also a role for taking the least productive land out of production, larger parcels, and returning it to prairie.
Some of the reason the land went into production was financial, but now some of the reason that some of that land could come out of production is, again, financial. Is a run-up in this things that are happening in Iran and the fertilizer market that was already risen up higher, where it's just not going to financially make sense. Do you think that's what's going to end up helping your cause than say the cause itself?
Well, it may, and having said all that about production farming, I'm a member of Practical Farmers of Iowa, and of course, looking out the air currently, it doesn't look like it's happening yet, but I think there's great promise in cover crops as a means of sequestering nitrogen and keeping something green on the ground all year round. And I do think that one of the consequences of higher input prices will be to begin to think about these more naturalistic ways of increasing soil tilth and fertility, better, higher level of organic matter. Obviously, one of the premises of Practical Farmers is adding more crops to the rotation, not just corn and beans, but also corn, beans, oat, wheat, clover, other specialty crops. There's been a lot of research at Iowa State over the years about trying to prove out, and I think they have proven out, that you can have the same amount of income even if you have less yield by engaging in a 3 or 4 crop rotation.
I just talked with the head of the Master Farmer this year. We were talking about evolutions in agriculture. Do you think that we are at a point right now where things are going to evolve, given everything you just said about changes and trying to attempts to return things? Do you think we're at a major crossroads right now?
Maybe, but it's kind of a political issue because the nature of the current farm supports is such that it supports the kind of agriculture that's intensive, fence line to fence line, and 1 or 2 corn on corn or corn and soybeans. And of course, half of the corn now is, and increasingly more of the soybeans are going into biofuels. So it takes a change in policy. The existence of the ethanol system is really a political decision. It's not driven by anything other than the mandate to blend ethanol with gasoline. I think it has a marginal environmental effect in the end because it takes just as much energy to produce a gallon of ethanol as it returns when you put it in the car. But a change in policy and the support system would be the thing that would make the difference. A carrot, not a stick, to get people to engage in resilient farming practices involving cover crops and the like.
So more policy driven than market driven?
Well, the two are related, right? That's a good question. I don't think that the market will demand an environmental reform. People will approve of the idea of more environmentally friendly farming practices, but I don't think they're willing to pay for them unless they can actually get proven out to be somehow more affordable.
Let's look at your family. Would they recognize agriculture today? Your great granduncle and your...
Well, they would, because the basic idea was established really at settlement and deeply encouraged by the farm press that was run by the three Henry Wallaces. So the basic structure of it is similar. They did have an environmental perspective, but it was, I think, more about preventing soil erosion, for example, but certainly in the interest of increasing yield, above all, through hybridization. I think they would, certainly Henry Wallace, Henry A. Wallace would approve of the practices engaged by PFI, as an example, or the practices being promoted by graduate studies in sustainable agriculture at ISU and many other places as well. So it's a mixture of, yes, recognizing not only the continuation of what they promoted as scientific agriculture, but also the that aspect of scientific agriculture now, which can be applied as a reform to overproduction online.
How many years have you been to this event?
This would be my third time I've been to this event.
Which means you're familiar with the master farmer concept and you've seen and heard different stories from master farmers. Is there anything that ties those together, do you believe, over the years? All the master farmers together, other than the organization itself? Is there one or two commonalities that who becomes that?
Well, the fascinating thing about the Masters Farmer program is it's deeply based in values. And I'll be speaking about this later today. The motto of Wallace's Farmer is good farming, clear thinking, good farming, clear thinking, and right living. Now, this is based on an almost religious view of country life and the value of the citizenry of the country, if you will. And this deeply held motto, based on family values, translated into the Master Farmers program in a very creative way. The masthead had that motto when Wallace's Farmer was formed in 1895. And in 1910, Uncle Henry Wallace, with his son, H.C. Wallace, my great-grandfather, reiterated it, restated it in an article about what they really meant by each of those 3 points. And then flash forward 16 years to 2026. Uncle Henry had been dead for 10 years exactly. Henry C. Wallace had died in office 2 years before. Henry Wallace was alone running Wallace's Farmer at that point, the editor-in-chief, and conceived of embodying these 3 principles into the law, in the persons of farmers. The idea behind a master farmer is that he is living these values, these 3 basic values, but he made a scorecard or a kind of he published a sheet. There was a list of points, that criteria to qualify to be a master farmer under each of the 3 of those points in the motto. And it was a very value-laden, I mean, nowadays, not all of these points are in the current list of criteria to be a master farmer. You kind of had to be an elder in your church, and you had to have your home open to inspection to make sure the whole place was tidy, that you had a lot of books around, that, I mean, really, and that you had a lot of magazine subscriptions, including Wallace's Farmer.
Of course.
and the latest tools, and that you were engaged in, you had to kind of prove that you were engaged in scientific agriculture based on the things that were lying around your house. And your wife you had to be married, you had to have kids, the kids had to be clean and, in school, doing well, I mean, it was really a very specific set of pretty high standard behaviors to become a master's farmer. And the interesting thing is, I'm convinced that this when I read every year, the Wallace's Farmer has the bios, and I do have a subscription to Wallace's Farmer, and I do read the bios of the typically four farm couples. Used to be all men.
Mm-hmm.
But you read this, and I think they meet or exceed those original very specific and very high standard criteria. So I think there's fabulous continuity over the last 100 years, and there's been hundreds, maybe even 1,000 or more people who've gotten this honor.
To get to the first 100 years, this is what we've talked about. How do we get to the next 100 years?
Well, I think that's easy in a way, because if when we go out in the room, you'll see all these very good-looking, healthy-looking, friendly people, and it keeps it's like a forced succession, right? People die, but there's the middle growth, the middle-aged, and these people age, and then they age out, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So there's continuity. It's ever renewing. It's like a forest. It's self-reproducing, I guess. So the future of it just depends on keeping up the nominations every year, which is a peer-to-peer thing, by the way. I mean, the invitation to nominate goes out in Wallace's Farmer. It's restricted to that publication. It's not something out of the university or out of the state of Iowa. And I would guess another supporting thing would have to be the continuation of Wallace's Farmer as a publication with an audience, with subscribers, because it is the subscribers who do the nominations.
I appreciate your time, Rob. Thank you so very much.
Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
There's a new way to stay connected and know what's happening with Market to Market when you subscribe to Market Insider. One email and a lot of information awaits you. Go to markettomarket.org and subscribe to Market Insider.
Steve, where do you farm?
Albuquerque County, up north of Monona, right around Rossville.
Is that your home area?
Yeah.
You grew up there?
I did.
How many generations have farmed before you on that land?
That's your family.
Where our dairy is, we're the first generation. Where our beef is would be the second generation.
When did you decide farming was something you wanted to do?
Day one. Yeah, I was.
You waited all the way until you were 14?
Yeah. No.
I thought it was always those 7-year-olds that got excited about it. Tell me about was it your father or your mother's father that was involved in farming?
Father, my father.
What was that farm like?
We milked 50 cows, had farrowed and finished pigs. That was about it.
Can't shake the dairy farming? You still do dairy farming?
Yep.
Can't shake it?
No.
You like that? Are you to an automated milker yet, or are you still?
No, we have employees there. Yeah.
What's been? What else is on the farm? We talk about beef. We talk about dairy crops up there.
Yep. We'll probably farm around 2,000 acres of corn, 700 alfalfa, and a few soybeans, not too many, maybe 400.
Is that just more of a rotation thing?
Yep.
Because the corn, you harvest some for silage and then some for feed?
We
and then
do
sell...
earlage and silage, corn silage, and then haylage.
And then you're pretty close to the Mississippi River if you need to ship any down the stream.
Yeah, we are. About 20 miles.
What has been something, what was your first farming moment? You're welcome to farming, you're doing this on your own.
The first would have been, probably when we were about 19.
What was the experience?
My dad left or moved over and left me move into a third, and we he had the machinery back then. I guess we were probably about 18 then. And then we had a third of the expense and third of the personal property as far as the cows and feed.
What year was this?
70.
1970.
70.
How was the when that first moment when he drives away down the driveway, like, uh-oh, this is all mine? What was? Do you remember that feeling?
We moved off that farm. We got married in 71, and we moved off and built a milking parlor on a different farm. My brother was coming up behind me, so it was a big move.
Does your brother still farm?
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. Do you have any other family that still farms?
No, no, we don't.
Any of your kids interested in it?
Oh yeah, Mike, our son Mike, is farming with us, and his wife Lori, and our daughter Ann, and her husband Cole are farming.
When you received communication about this master farmer thing, what was your first thought?
Not for me, to be honest with you.
Why not?
I don't know. I kind of like to stay out behind everything, I don't really want to be up front.
So sitting for interviews and wearing a tie is not necessarily the lane you like to be in?
No.
You're extremely uncomfortable right now, is what
Yeah.
you're telling me? When you found out, did you know anything about the Master Farmer
No,
program?
I
You
really,
didn't?
no, I really didn't. No,
What do you know about it now?
it's quite an honor. It's very much an honor.
Why do you think you were nominated? I mean, I'm sure you've probably heard about the nomination, but why do you think someone nominated you?
A friend of ours that been a friend for over 30 years, maybe, asked if he could nominate us, and I don't think so. And he was pretty persistent, and he finally got my daughter talked into writing something up for us, and whatever, we'll try it.
And here you are.
Here we are. Yep.
Now that you've had a little time to put some reflection on it, what's it mean to you?
Oh, it's a great thing, I guess. We're really honored.
Is farming a good thing still?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Well, you're your own boss. You can kind of set your schedules. I don't know. I just like it. It's peaceful. And you gotta work hard, some weeks or most weeks or 7 days, so. But I like it.
Especially when hay's down
Yep.
and it rains. And Mark Schnackenberg gives you the wrong forecast, you probably get a little
Oh,
upset.
yeah.
I know up there that's a big thing. He's always given the hay forecast for everyone. When you see or hear the list of nominees today that are going in with you, I mean, have you read much about them?
I did read it a little bit one time, but yeah.
Being in this is a club. This is a very exclusive club. This is the best of the best Iowa farmers.
Yeah.
To be in there and have your name and you're going to get a presented today, kind of a big deal, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a big deal. It's a great thing.
What makes a master farmer in your eyes?
Oh, I don't know for sure what, we weren't trying to be a master farmer. We just wanted to do things right.
Mm-hmm.
And we got, I got really good help. And it's a farm. It's not me, it's the farm.
When you say do it right, what does that mean?
You just, I don't know for sure.
Conservation,
Yeah, we believe in
Sustainability.
conservation. Yeah,
planning,
yeah, everything.
not just profits and
No,
production.
no, that comes with it, but conservation is really a big thing for us. We want to make sure the next generation has the soil, and Yeah.
I'm just going to assume that I know what your topography is. I'm guessing there's not much tabletop around you.
We're not real steep, but it's not flat, no.
So you have to preserve things.
Yes.
You need to do
Yeah.
terraces. You
Yeah.
need to do buffer. Otherwise there would be nothing left.
Right. That's right. That's correct.
Did your father tell you to do that?
He always made sure, he built a lot of terraces to himself, but the terraces today are different. His were more on the contour, and ours are, we're blocking the waterways and stuff.
Your wife is here with you.
Yes.
Was she a partner with all of this with you on the conservation and the production and the planning? Tell me about her role with you. You have to say something nice with her watching you from the other side of this camera.
She's always been there. Yeah. And she always backed us. She never really, we never had any disagreements or anything. We pulled together. So
For those, now that you're in this club, you're going to keep an eye out for a master farmer. What do you think? Does this now become not necessarily master farmer, but like a godfather farmer? People are going to come to you for advice, or they're going to view you as a sage. Do you think that'll happen now?
I don't know. Maybe the younger farmers will. I don't know. Hopefully I don't know.
If you could talk to that younger farmer that might not come to your facility to see your operation, give me a message to them on what maybe they should be trying to do for themselves.
Takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of time. And the technology and stuff today is, we never had it when we started, but it's important. It's important.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Jane, did you grow up on a farm?
I did.
Where at?
Walk on, out by Lake Hergus. Had 11 brothers and sisters, and we just had a great life on the farm. We milked cows, we had pigs and sheep and everything and we all helped out. Back then, we milked cows with buckets and cream cans.
Did you know Steve growing up?
Nope,
No.
I did not.
So, did you think that farming was going to be your future, even when you were
No.
young? Were you destined to depart?
Yes, I was.
You were going to leave the farm in the rear view. Why?
That's what I said. I don't know why. I just figured there'd be something else. But Steve came along, and that was it. So.
What's been your role on the farm with Steve?
We had 5 children. So together we helped take care of them and went to the barn usually every day to milk, and little kids. We brought the kids along with us. And they all grew up to milk cows and take care of the calves and farm with us. And they're all very dedicated to the ag industry. Like our daughter Ann is, she's with us. She's a partnership. And then the other 2 girls, Angela and Amy, are both with John Deere. So they're in the ag also. And Mike, our son Mike, is definitely, and his wife Lori, yep. So are in the farm with us, operation.
It's a family situation.
It is, very much, yep.
Is that important to you?
Oh, yes.
Why?
Oh, I guess because I just grew up, back in the day we didn't have much. Everybody worked together and got along, and it just continues. It's in my blood.
You're just a little bit younger than my mother, and I know what she went through in the 70s and 80s. What did you go through in the 70s and 80s trying to keep the farm together? How was those conversations that you had to have, both probably on your family farm where you grew up, plus your house where you were living?
How did that go?
Not easy, was it?
No, it wasn't easy, Paul. No, it wasn't easy. Every extra dollar we got went to the bank to pay off our notes, and we just kind of rolled with it. We just kept growing and growing, and the 80s was a hard time. People told us, they said, "You're not going to make it." Steve was destined, we're going to make it one way or another. And we, of course, we did to survive. And we just kept growing, and the kids helped some for sure. So
At that point, was master farming ever in the vision, or was it just survive day by day?
I didn't really know much about the master farming at that time. And I guess we just kept working on it, and we just knew we had to make it. So
Now that you know a little bit about the master farmer, do you think you were living those values back then?
I would say we definitely tried to keep everything going. It's been a great honor, that's for sure, to be recognized as a master farmer. And we never dreamed of being honored with this award. So very grateful.
So I asked Steve the same question. I'll ask you, when the notification came that you had been selected, what went through your mind?
But like Steve, I don't think this is for us. We didn't know for sure how to get it, what we were going to get into. But our daughter Ann, who is in the operation with us, she helped us out. I mean, she kept pushing for us to do it, and so finally we said yes, we'll go for it. So we didn't know, big undertaking, I mean, it was, but it worked out good. We're glad we did.
When you look back at what happened from then to now, I'm not going to say yourselves are master farmers, but what makes a good farmer in your definition?
Oh, I guess every day is different. That's for sure. You never know what you're gonna come into, and you just every day you take those and you work with them and get through it every day. I guess. I guess that's about it.
Do you value sustainability
Yes.
and family? We've already talked about
Family,
that
yes.
a lot.
Yes.
The production side. What's your favorite job in the production side of things?
It was in the milking, the dairy, for me. Did the book work and stuff, and helped out in the farm, did the errands and stuff. Kind of knew what was going on all the time. Tried to. Some days, but we did.
Let's do a little legacy here. You mentioned your family, and what do you hope that they take from you, but also what have they maybe brought in on their own for a new idea? Those crazy kids and their crazy ideas.
Right. Well, their faith, yeah. We've always gone to church and had the Catholic Mass, the first real Mass at our farm a year and a half ago. And they've all just got right into everything, wherever they needed. Our grandkids, too, now we got 15 grandkids, and they are also right into it. They love the farm. So we're very thankful and blessed that we got it. And whoever wants to work there can do their share, and they'd all do. So, yep. I said, I know the kids, when they were mowing hay, even Amy would be mowing hay with her little hay bind, and they just grew up doing that. Even our daughter Angela, she had the third shift sometimes. Her and Steve would go up and do the third shift milking, and she was going to Northeast Iowa College at that time, and she would put her all her homework into a little cassette tape and play that, because while she was milking the cow, she was listening to that homework, learning, and then she'd milk until 4 in the morning, and then be over at Kilmer at 7 o'clock for class, and she was very, very, very helpful.
And dedicated.
Dedicated.
Yeah, to do all those things.
9 o'clock at night, she was there milking until 4, and so, yep.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, Paul. It was an honor meeting you. I watch you on Market to Market, but I didn't think I'd ever get to meet you.
And now
in
you get to be on the
person.
other side of all my crazy questions. All right. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Paul.
The production supervisor for Iowa PBS is Sean Ingrassia. His crew is David Feingold, Julie Knutson, Neil Kyer, Kevin Rivers, and Reed Denker. The executive producer of Market to Market is David Miller. I'm Paul Yeager. We'll see you next time. Thank you.